Hi guys, welcome back again. We are here again, and this time around, we're actually going to talk about some myths that you have actually heard about Africans. This is going to be interesting, and we have a lot to share, so stay tuned. And before we actually start, I want to start with this an encounter that I actually experienced at a pharmacy. Or yeah, I actually went to the pharmacy because I didn't get what I wanted at a cosmetic shop, so I actually went to the pharmacy. So when I actually got here, I realized that like I was actually getting sunburn a lot, and you know that it's normal to actually have a sunscreen on you. So I went to initially the cosmetic shop. I actually didn't get some, so someone showed me a pharmacy shop where I could actually get a sunscreen. So I went there and I was actually asking the attendant that, oh, I want a sunscreen. You'll be amazed the question that came after. So the person asked me, are you not from Africa? Why do you need sunscreen for? I'm like, really? Why would you even ask me this question anyway in the first place? One, you're actually selling a product. It means that you are refusing to sell the product to me, the consumer. Two, you have no knowledge about the use of sunscreen. Because why would you ask someone that, are you not from Africa?
You were born in Sahara.
Why? Why? Are we resistant to the
God.
sun? If you're actually from Africa, it's a very interesting thing because that actually leads us to how people see Africa, especially when it actually comes to climate.
True.
Because sometimes when you actually move from your country to another country, in as much as the climates are not, there's not that much difference.
Your
but
body will
maybe
react.
exactly your body will actually react to it. In the sense that, so let's say that you've actually visited a country that, I mean, when you are back home, probably you were driving a lot and you were walking less in the sun. But this time around, you are walking more in the sun. So this time around, the way you actually react to the weather conditions will be different. So then, that's when I actually went to this shop to ask for a sunscreen, and I was asked that, am I not an African? Imagine.
I was dying with laughter.
Imagine the expression on my face, and I told the person that yes, I'm from Africa.
Europe, boy.
I asked him that I came here for a sunscreen. Why don't you know what the sunscreen is actually used for? Even though black people actually have melanin, we actually really
Sir.
also protect us from the
didn't see that
sunlight.
one coming,
But it's
sir.
something that we do. It's something that it's required of us to do, to actually apply sunscreen to actually protect our skin. So if I walk into your shop to ask for sunscreen, there's no way that you should ask me whether I'm from Africa. So these are some of the myths. So climate is one of the myths. I don't know if you have anything about some myths you've heard about climate.
But that was rough.
That's rough. It was rough.
Nah,
I was really amazed. I was just looking at him and I'm like, in the first place, you know, in Africa, people will rather sell you the product rather than asking you
Ask questions.
because they want their money in
Yeah,
the
man.
first place. And the second offense was you being very ignorant about the use of.
it sounded like the person wanted prescription.
I don't know. What myths have you actually heard about? What myths have you heard about climate?
I don't think I have any when it comes to climate. But since we are still in that line,
Yeah.
Africa is not, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not too far from the Caribbean when it comes to climate. You know, we have rain, but I think the question I was asked was if we have disasters in Africa, like if we have hurricanes. So we don't have that.
Yeah.
But the fact that we don't have it doesn't mean we don't have our own disasters.
Yeah.
So the stereotype there, it's like, you know, everybody might, not everybody, some people think like Africa is not prone to disasters. So whenever you tell somebody, oh, there was earthquake and that kind of stuff, they might feel like, okay, you're just making things up. Every continent has its own disaster. So the climate for us, well, here we go. Sahara dust part.
Yeah. So we call it Hamatan.
Right. So
really around December.
When it's Hamatan period, it's not a joke.
Dry.
So
humidity.
But it's once in a year. So it's not every day.
Every day.
So you can't stereotype us to being, filled with desert and for the whole year. We all the way in the west, we get to feel it during the November period when the wind comes around. So we're not all suffering from Sahara dust all through the year.
Yeah. And in as much as the Caribbean, you'll see more of the tropical storms and the hurricanes, but in Africa it's more flat. And the flood actually comes about by our own doing, because if we've actually created drainage systems where when it rains, the rain should actually drain through this drain system. We are not going to have flood, but you actually have some areas, having the drains all right, but the drains are actually used for different purposes altogether. So in the rainy season, they actually get choked. So we have a lot of floods. Rather, floods is what we have. Rather in Africa, more floods.
So many folks miss their homes.
Yeah. So rather than the hurricanes and the tropical storm, because our rainy season is around June, because it can rain. Actually, rain in Africa, it can rain for about 3 days or 5 days continuous, and the continuous raining actually really causes the flood. So our disaster most of the time is actually the flooding.
Our disaster is corruption. But come to think of it, if we had hurricane, so many countries would be wiped out.
Yeah.
Because we are landlocked.
Yeah.
So when the wind goes in, say how it decimated Texas.
Yeah.
When it comes to residential areas, so much buildings. So when these storms start from the Atlantic before it reaches the Caribbean, you could slow down, you could bypass, you could do stuff. And some of the Caribbean countries that have hills and mountainous terrain that help. But for us, we don't have anything to block this kind of if hurricane category 5 enter Lagos from one building to the next. Because once it hits one building and it falls on the other one, it will be more destruction.
But it still depends on your structure though. So talking about climate, that was some shock for me.
Creating stereotyping.
Yeah, creating stereotyping. But what's another myth that you've actually had been?
I actually heard of this one before I read it recently. That Africans are uneducated. I'm trying not to laugh. So it's a portrayal of the primitive days. Is what we see more on social media.
Yeah.
You watch a typical movie, like a Nigerian movie or Kenyan movie, they're showing of the ghettos and the brothels and the villages with sand, thatch houses and huts and all of that. So it's like they show more of poverty about Africa.
That's it, they show more of poverty.
And this is a different topic on its own which you don't want to go to. But the actual fact is, if you look at statistics, which I read recently, when we talk about the immigrants in US today, the most educated is the African community. An average African, or let me speak for Nigeria, you will speak for Ghana.
Yeah.
An average Nigerian that you're going to meet here in Saint Vincent finished 5 years of bachelor.
Exactly. Yeah.
5 years, I'm not talking about 2 years. 5 years or 4 years degree
4 years.
in university.
Bachelor.
So like me, I'd been, I went to high school, did a 1 year course, pre-college, went to college, did another advanced college course. I passed through medical school and then I passed to university. So most of the persons you've seen here as Nigerians had finished university before they even left the country. And we love to travel. I used to say it as a curse, but now it's a blessing. Because we love to see the world, which is what made us leave home very far away. Although sometimes what we left behind sometimes is better than what we met.
Yeah.
And the treatment that we get on the journey sometimes does not measure up at all. So that is me speaking for Nigerians.
All right.
We see it as a sin or a crime if you don't go to school. Between 2003 and 2011, in my state, it's a crime. It was a crime if a parents do not send their children to school because school was free. So you get arrested actually. So education was free from primary, secondary, and then there was bursary for those who want to go to university. And if you can't make it to university, you polytechnic. If you can't make it to the polytechnic, college. So you had 3 options to choose every year. So Africans are highly educated.
So that's for Nigeria. I think I'm actually speaking for Ghana. And I think that for us, I mean, the average Ghanaian home, I think what's really being hammered into our heads, and now that's, I mean, we are sort of open-minded about other sort of careers and all that.
Yeah.
But with the average African, to the specific Ghanaian home, we are so much education oriented because all what we know, the jobs that we know, it's doctor, lawyer, engineer, bank manager, accountant. Those are the jobs or the white collar jobs that are being hammered in your head when you are growing up. Because when you actually grow up, when you are growing up, you are asked what you want to be. And you dare not say anything apart from these mentioned jobs. Otherwise, you're going to have a problem with your parents. It's either a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, an accountant. Because I think now that we are opening up to more jobs. So now we are embracing musicians. Now we are embracing footballers. Now we are embracing artists, to be specific. But those times, you have to be an engineer, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer. And we really love education. I mean, you have to be educated.
Wherever it is we are going.
When you're actually going to a home to even seek someone's daughter's hand in marriage,
you better be educated.
You better be educated. They ask you, who are you? What do you do? What do you do? You have to mention some of these careers.
Then you say you're a DJ.
You dare not say that you're a DJ. You dare not say that you're. I think right now that you're. God have mercy.
I'm sorry.
You dare not. We are not really playing down any job here, but I mean, there is some myths that people in the Caribbean actually have about us. No, I think it's not just the Caribbean. I think most global. People, it's global, have about Africans who really love education. And I mean, it's a serious thing, but right now I think we are open-minded. You won't have a lot of parents questioning you. I mean, it's very important for them to know what their daughter's husband actually does. But the most important thing is you taking care of your daughter. But those times it's important. What do you do? Like, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer, you have to be an accountant.
It can be very.
That one I cannot speak. He's speaking for that. But yeah, so the myth has been busted. Africans are
even then being a pastor was not in the picture.
I mean, I've actually mentioned those jobs.
Watch me. I know of a child that was beaten up. He said he wanted to be a pastor. The father gave him some serious beatings of his life. But he turned out to be a pastor anyway, and he did well.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll take 2 more. We don't want to keep it too long. We just want to hear from folks.
Yeah.
The other stereotype or myths that Africans are poor.
Tell me. Yo.
I mean, I have actually been stereotyped before in a conversation. You know, somebody was talking about money and sideline. We got you covered. You know, you don't have to worry about it. I said, okay, I put my money in my pocket. I don't catch feelings easily. So if you got me covered, no problem. You know. The fact, although statistics might not say, the fact that I believe if US dollars were to level with some African currencies, Americans will be poor. Africans will be richer. If our currency, now look at this now, our currency, Naira is over 1,000 Naira to $1. And yours is?
It's about 15 cedis.
50 cedis to
15,
$1 US.
15. Yeah.
Okay. So imagine, just for a second, even if you're not good with mathematics, let me mark this math thing right now. So, if my 1,000 Naira is the same thing as $1,000, what's stopping me from buying a car as an American who would also buy a 1,000? But you see, so this is why the global community does never, don't mind my English, does never ever want Africans to level up.
Yeah.
So every now and then,
you see depreciation.
Where in America have gold, which have gold in the country.
Yeah.
We have oil in our country, we have crude oil and all of that. So we're selling to you at a smaller currency.
Excellent.
And you're getting richer.
Richer.
So if Africans were poor, we would never reach anywhere in the world. Which has happened to be disadvantage because you need to have this lot to get this small thing done.
Small thing,
right? So that is a very
disadvantage.
That's a very dangerous myth that and it's not just something that I read on the internet. I have experienced it myself. That people think just because you're an African, you don't have enough.
The money. When I speak to you about money, like you actually see buildings, you actually see structures, you actually see the luxury. When you talk about luxury,
but you see the Igwe's palace.
Talk about luxury. I mean, sometimes I just when I actually hear people talking about this myth, sometimes I just laugh. I don't want to even enter into the conversation.
You gotta laugh, man.
because it's a very, very, very bad thing to say, especially when you don't really have the facts. But yeah, I mean, some Africans are extremely rich when you talk about filthy money. So it's not really a fact, it's a myth. And the truth is that Africans are really rich.
We are
really rich.
I know, but personally, I'm not there yet. But we would share the rest online. But I have one more on my end. Number 4. This one is, I think it's more than a stereotype. It's an assumption.
Okay.
Which I think we had somehow alluded to it earlier on. There is this myth that all Africans are the same. How is that possible? I mean, both of us walking on the road, when we're Africans, we could blend in and do things as Africans.
Yeah.
But we are far apart. How many countries apart? There's Ghana.
Yeah.
There is
Togo.
There is Ivory Coast.
Yeah, Ivory Coast on the
right, and then there is I think there is Togo.
Yeah. The Ivory Coast is on the west side, so when you're actually going to Nigeria, you have to pass through Togo. You have to pass through.
It's
Benin,
another country.
Benin,
right.
Before you actually get to Nigeria.
Right. So that's how far apart that if you're driving, it take you a whole day. So
more than that.
He's Ghanaian and I'm from Nigeria. If anybody ever tells you something like that, that all Africans are the same, I tell them, we say, that's a myth.
2 Ghanaians can be standing at the same place, and no, let's say 4. So let's say a pair. So this pair may be speaking a language which the other pair might not even understand, but they are all from Ghana.
True.
Did you get it? And I'm sure that even in Saint Vincent, the way country people speak the dialect is even from the way the town, you guys say tone.
Don't take me back.
The way the tongue people actually speak their dialect is different from the way that someone from the country will actually speak the dialect.
True, very true.
So and that's how this diversity actually comes into play. So no matter how close we might be as in Ghana and Nigeria, I mean the diversity is huge. But when we are out of our continent, we really represent Africa as one. That's the beauty of it. And I'm sure that most of the times too, if the intentions, if Bayesians, St. Lucians go out of that zone, and I'm sure they all represent what Caribbeans, and that's how diversified the culture is.
But let me ask Jazz though. You've ever been in a forum where you are the only Vincentian and the rest are other Caribbean islands?
Oh yes, actually, I went to Panama last year.
Okay.
Yeah, I represented Saint Vincent, and at a point, because this happened to speak really fast, so like the Jamaican representative, he was telling me, "You're speaking too fast," and I'm like, "Really?" And then the Saint Lucia was like, "You know, she went a second place," and then the Grenadines was like, "I understand nothing that you said." So
That's interesting though. Wow.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's diversity for you. So all Africans are never the same.
Touch on this one and let me close on this one. See.
Africans are all alike in physical appearance. I think it's very difficult for me to really tell. I think it's a Vincentian who can explain how they can tell that.
Well, y'all help us.
Are you African or no? I mean, the question is, are you African? No, it's are you Nigerian?
Yeah.
So what do you see? I mean, in Africans.
Help us. How do you know that we?
How do you know
that we are Africans when you see?
Before we open our mouth.
And also, you could tell us in the comment section. Who wants to go first? How do you guys know? I'm asking you. No, those online and our backstage crew, they're also talking to us.
Yeah, production crew.
Production crew. Even when we don't speak, we don't even speak.
Without speaking. They see you from afar and they can tell.
Oh,
that's an interesting.
that's an interesting point.
So the wigs or the
The
hairstyle.
hairstyle.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I know some
Caribbeans maintain a lot of like their natural hair. So it's either locks or
not entirely
natural
true.
hair, or it's
50-50, I would say.
50-50.
Yeah, not
okay.
entirely.
They have a lot of natural, the human hair, the
Mhm.
kinky hair, we wear a lot of that. Yeah.
Okay.
Tehila. Right, like Russell. Yeah. See what I was telling you. Somebody stop me. Go ahead.
The color of the hair as well. Again, back to my
For the male or female.
no, for the female.
Female,
My
okay.
back to my cousin. You know this. This girl.
Mhm.
It's pinky, blonde hair.
Oh, gee.
It's like I see it as it's a part. It seems like an African thing too because below where I live, right,
Mhm.
there is an apartment that a lot of they live there. It's close to the school as well.
Mhm.
So you would just see the blonde hair coming out, the pink hair coming out, and it's like yeah.
It's a real rainbow happening.
Africa. Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah, really?
the most of my deals in Ginger, the
Yeah.
couple sunset kind
Yeah.
of like,
Mhm.
you go to the African like, oh, okay, yeah.
So
Wow.
how about the guys?
Other guys.
Yeah. The bed, I think.
The bed?
Yeah, I think the most for me is the bed. You would,
What about the bed?
no, like, they would have bed. I don't see a lot of things in the bed. Like,
You sure?
yeah, but the bed is the bed, standard.
You think so?
I mean, I would like to hear in the comment section.
No, because I see a lot of Vincentian men with beard as well.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Africans like beards.
yeah, the bed.
The men.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, when I came here, my bed is not good as big, you know.
Yeah.
Was supposed to pick me out. I think it was one time somebody stopped me somewhere in the cruise ship site and said, "You're African." I said, "Yeah." I said, what gave it out? He said, "The way you dress."
Yeah, I think.
And the same shirt I wore, somebody else wore it, you know. I was a dude that wore the same shirt. God, put the thing in Middle Street, you know. I don't care. And that's men. Men don't mind saying somebody wear the same shirt. Don't try that with women.
Yeah,
So I'm like,
that's true.
she said, the shirt.
That's you.
And I looked at the other boy, that's a Vincent guy. And she said, yes, still, but the way you wore it. I had to now because I became interested now in the conversation. The way I went, and then I had folded the hand.
Yeah.
Folded the hand. And, I button all the, I don't like, losing button.
Yeah.
And I button up. And then he said, and, the way the nice pants and shoe.
Yeah.
I'm like, everything I want, I bought it,
Yeah. So I think with me, it was. I actually had that. I actually get that a lot.
The same experience.
Yeah, the same experience. I mean, especially they realize that most of the things that I wear, like you wouldn't see them like here on the island. So they're mine, they're able to pick me up because they actually see the shirts that I'm actually wearing because some of the African prints as well.
Designs
and
some wear them anymore.
And some even some of the foreign designs as well because no, apart from the dashiki style.
I don't really wear dashiki.
No, apart from the dashiki, so like let's say like polo, like Ralph Lauren, you actually see more of either Johnny Cotton. You actually see more of what was it? Their polyester.
Yeah.
Like there are some specific brands on the island, so they are able to pick you up and the way you actually. Yeah, they'll tell you the way you dress.
I'm going to tell me the combination.
Yeah, the combination, the way you dress, like that's you're an African.
you have to be an African. All right, guys.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we have a lot we can go on and on, but we really want to hear from you. If you've been sanctioned, what are some of the questions or some of the myths that you have in your head?
Caribbean as a whole.
What are some of the things that you've heard that you want us to really address? I mean, we are here, and I think we will be doing this because we are really enjoying this conversation, and we want to really also hear from you so that you have something. This is for education purpose, exactly, because you wouldn't want to. Someone might just take it, or just someone might be okay with how you approach them with your questioning. Someone might not, so it's good to actually know the facts before you approach someone with your questioning. So thank you guys for watching, and please, this is his channel. I don't know why I'm actually signing out.
Well, for this episode is We channel, so see you next episode. Thank you for tuning in.
All right, bye.
All right.